Today is another wine shopping day. I made my way to Costco to search out what's new under the Kirkland Signature label. I picked up two wines, one that will have good availability through much of the year. The other wine will likely not be around too long. The wines are from classic growing regions. One is from Bordeaux, the other from Tuscany. In this video, I'll discuss and taste both wines. Recently, I attended a wine trade event of the 2022 vintage Bordeaux. I had a chance to taste nearly 100 wines from the vintage. Overall, it's a very strong year. The wines are expressive, there's plenty of weight and density. It's a marked improvement over the 2021s. The first wine up is the 2022 Kirkland Signature Bordeaux Superieur. It's a follow-up to the 2020 and the 2021 vintages that I tasted in prior videos. This is Bordeaux at a base level. It's meant for near-term consumption, within 3 or 4 years of the vintage. It's made from 70% Cabernet Sauvignon and 30% Merlot. The wine spends 1 year in oak barrels. At Costco, expect to find this wine stacked on pallets versus being in the lay-down wooden bins. The wine will have good availability through much of the year. The prices remain the same over the last 3 vintages at a bargain price of $6.99. The wine is medium deep at the core. It shows a bit of fade at the edge of the glass, but it looks exactly as expected. Most of the wines under the Kirkland label will have branded closures like this one. This is a simple, basic closure, but for a wine that's not going to be aged all that long, this is really all it needs. Now, in terms of the aroma, smells really good. Smells exactly as expected for base level Bordeaux. There's a little bit of that dark fruit, cassis characteristic, moderate intensity, but it just smells spot on. On the palate, plenty of weight here. There's nothing thin or washed out about this wine at all. You can tell the fruit was actually quite ripe. The back label shows 14% alcohol, and that is very typical of the 2022 vintage for Bordeaux. It was a vintage where there was a high level of ripeness, and that definitely does show it in the wine glass. But that red fruit, dark fruit character is there. There's a bit of a smoky note, but it's really quite subtle. That shows the back label indicates a 12-month aging in oak. Well, I can tell you, there's no way that there was any new oak involved here. This was definitely older, used oak, and it's not so much there to provide that charred vanilla characteristic, but more there to round out the wine, make it a little more softer and accessible. But it smells wonderful, very good weight, nice presence on the palate, bit of tannin on the back, a little bit of a dusty, grainy tannin, but this is definitely not a wine you want to keep very long. You want to drink this over the next year or so. And in terms of value for the money, for $7, you just can't beat it. If you're looking for a weeknight red that's not going to set you back a whole lot, this is a very good option. If you've not yet subscribed to my channel, please consider doing it right now. Hit that like button and definitely hit the notification bell. That way you'll be kept up to speed on all things happening here. These things very much do help the growth of this channel. It's much appreciated. The next wine up is from Tuscany. I recently attended an Italian wine trade event in San Francisco. I focused on the wines from Chianti, specifically Chianti Classico Reserva and Chianti Classico Gran Selizione. The latter is the top tier classification for the region. It's only been in existence since 2014.
Single vineyard Gran Selizione Campolongo.
Chianti Classico Gran Selizione is meant to represent the best of the best from the region. The wines are made entirely from estate-grown fruit. It must be made from at least 80% Sangiovese, aged at least 30 months prior to release, and the wines must reach a minimum of 13% alcohol. The 2020 Kirkland Signature Chianti Classico Gran Selizione is produced by one of the classic, iconic sources of the region. Basilica Cafaggio has a history that dates back more than 600 years. The 2020 vintage in Tuscany is a warm, dry year. The subsequent wines have good depth of color and solid concentration. I have high expectations for this wine. You'll find this wine merchandised in the wooden bins. It won't be stacked out on a pallet. Priced at $17.99, it's well below the typical cost for wines of this classification. This one is lighter in color than the previous wine. This is due to a couple of factors. It's mostly made from Sangiovese, which is a thinner skinned grape variety, and also it sees extended aging time in barrel. Oftentimes with Kirkland Signature wines, it's difficult, if not impossible, to know who actually produced the wine. In this case, it's made very clear. It's stated on the back label and also on the cork. There you can see the Cafaggio name. But the wine geek tidbit for this video is this. You'll see the word diem. And this is a type of closure that's been around for about 20 years. And back when I spent time in the corporate world, I worked on a number of projects where I was out purchasing closures for wine. And this one is absolutely foolproof. In terms of having bottles that are off, showing any type of TCA or variations in terms of aroma, flavors, this is a great closure. So it's really good when I see this. I always feel like the wine is going to be in its absolute best shape. Now, in terms of the aroma, really, really pretty. It has this savory red fruit character. There's a bit of a tart cherry note, which is very typical with Sangiovese-based wines. But the aroma is completely different than the previous wine. This shows much more that secondary and tertiary characteristics. And the secondary notes are those that are attributed to the actual wine making. And the tertiary is more attributed to some bottle age. But the aroma is absolutely outstanding. It's very lifted, and it is just spot on classic. On the palate, very weighty, full. The wine is elegant, it's polished, very refined. There's not a sharp edge here at all. It's very, very soft. That red fruit character is evident. Very typical of Sangiovese-based wines. You'll get a nice lifted acidity, and it keeps it fresh and bright on the palate. There's some tannins here. They're a little bit dusty on the back palate, but the wine is just superb. The balance is there. The structure is there. I think this is a wine that really would benefit from a bit of aeration, and if you chose to keep this for a couple of years, no problems. I'll tell you, I like it a lot. Now, is this the greatest within its classification? The answer to that is flat out no. But for under $20 per bottle, I've got to say this is really quite remarkable. And my suggestion is, if this is a style that you like, I wouldn't hesitate. I would get out to Costco quick. Today's video featured two very good examples under the Kirkland Signature label from Costco. The first one, the Bordeaux, base level Bordeaux. You just can't expect anything more for the money. The wine's very deep, dense, solid from start to finish. Really happy with it. This is the type of wine that you can buy multiple bottles of. Drink it on a Tuesday night over the next year or two. Don't give it a whole lot of thought. The wine's really solid from start to finish. This is the wine it's going to my neighbors. Now the second wine, the one from Tuscany, the Chianti Classico Gran Selizione. Absolutely love the way this wine has developed. Now it's deep, it's dense, it's nuanced. The wine has a lot of character to it. It's an absolute beauty. I had a chance to taste several others during the tasting that I visited earlier this week. And some of those wines absolutely were outstanding, but in many cases they were $50, $75, even $100+ per bottle. Value for the money, this wine is absolutely outstanding. This is what I'll be drinking tonight. I hope you're drinking something interesting as well. If you have any questions or comments, please post it down below. I try to follow up on each and every one. And please stop back again before too long. Cheers.